Hello and welcome to another episode of Wicked Easy Cooking, the show that's all about how to easily make food at home. My name is Chef Colin Roche. In today's episode, we're going to be making sweet basil pesto. So let's get started. Pesto is a sauce that many say originated in Genoa, Italy. And it gets its name literally from being crushed or pounded. This is in reference to its originally prepared method, which is in a mortar and pesto, crushing it in a circular motion. Here I have a mortar and pestle, a tool that I love, especially for whole spices that I want to grind up or making my homemade wicked easy guacamole. But that's another episode. So basically, pesto is a generic term for anything that's crushed or pounded, which is why today you not only see the traditional classic pestos, but you see a lot of modern versions, some of it kind of crazy and way out there. But anything that you blend, squish, pound together can be called a pesto. So today I'm going to be preparing the classic pesto alla Genovese, which is considered the most popular traditional classic pesto of them all, which contains sweet basil, olive oil, pine nuts or pinoles, some garlic, and some Parmesan Reggiano cheese, Parmesan cheese that we're going to use, a little salt and pepper that's going to be puree. I'm going to use the modern method, which is in a food processor. So I have the recipe here, Wicked Easy Classic Pesto, which I'll post at the end of this video. And the amounts we're going to make is about a cup today. So we need 4 cups of fresh basil leaves, about 3 large bunches. Now I want to talk about basil. You can certainly buy it at your grocery store in a package like this, but it's very expensive. Now, this was $2.50 or so, and not even quite a bunch. Certainly fine to use that in a pinch, but you could also plant your own. Back here, I happen to have a sweet basil plant. You can see it here. You can pick this up at your grocery store or your home goods store, and then it keeps growing. This could be kept in the pot in a windowsill for an indoor garden. Pick it whatever you need and use it that way. It's cheap. This one I think was under $4, $3.50. So compared to this, it keeps growing. And here's a couple of pictures of some basil plants I have in my garden that my kids planted. They got it from Home Depot. I've harvested leaves from these plants numerous times in tons of dishes. I just go out with my shears, pick whatever I want. The plant gets up to my waist in height. So plant your own. I think you'll save a lot more money than using these. So let's move on to the next ingredient. So the next ingredient is olive oil. I like to use a really good extra virgin olive oil, but you could use any one you want. It is going to provide some flavor. For this recipe, we need about a ½ cup. The next thing is pine nuts. Now, pine nuts, also known in Italian as pinoles or pignoles, okay, these are the seeds from inside a pine cone. So they're really tiny, and they come inside the pine cone. So there's a lot of work to harvest these. They also have a huge fat content, so they go rancid quickly. So for those 2 reasons, it drives the price up. You can see this is about 1/3 cup. In here, it tells me it is 1½ ounces. This costs $4 in this little package. So I would suggest if you're going to use pine nuts that you buy it in bulk. Go to like Whole Foods or one of these other type stores where you can buy it in bulk and pour it yourself instead of these small little packages. And do check the date because they do go rancid. Now, many recipes will just call for you to use them as is, which is totally fine, but I like to toast them. I think it helps bring out some of that flavor. So just use a non-stick pan, put those in there, no oil, put it over a low heat, and just shake them periodically until they just start to get brown. Not too brown, because they will carry over cook. Pour it out on a plate and just let them cool. You'll see that white color really turns brown. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so because of their expense, and you'll see when you go to purchase them, some people substitute other nuts in it, maybe a little bit cheaper. Like you could use almonds, pecans, walnuts. You could use some to supplement it, or you could just use all if you'd like. It's not going to be the traditional one, which has the pine nuts. They're just starting to get warm and release their oils now. But you could certainly use some of these. This wouldn't be as classic. Your choice. Okay, these are nice and toasted now, so I'm just going to leave them in the pan, turn off the heat, and let them cool down before we mix them up with our basil. So our next ingredient is garlic. This recipe for the cup calls for 2 cloves of garlic. You know, you put in as much as you want. You don't like it, a little bit less. If you like it, add in more. That's totally fine. And then we're going to have our cheese in here. And this is going to be kind of the binder in there. It's going to add a lot of flavor. So I just took a block of our Parmesan and just put it on a grater and grated it so it's kind of coarse. Or you could use the canned stuff if you want to make it really easy and put that in. You know, that's not going to have as much flavor, but certainly able to use that as well. Okay, so now we have all of our ingredients ready to go. We're just going to put it into our food processor. So maybe take half the basil, depending on what size processor you have. And I like to start out with a little bit of oil in there. And then just turn it on and start processing. Once I get the basil down into a manageable amount, then I can add the garlic, a little bit of salt, keep pureeing it, stop, finish it with the cheese, do a taste test, and that's it. So let me do that now. Okay, so I have my basil kind of rough chopped at this point. You can see those 4 cups have collapsed down to, close to a cup. I'm going to put in my 2 cloves of garlic and my cooled down toasted pinoles. Pour those in and then just keep pureeing now until it's fine while drizzling in the remaining olive oil. Okay, this is all complete now. So we're going to open it up and we're going to put it into our bowl here. Scraping it all in there. It's got the garlic, it's got the cheese, it's got a little salt and pepper in there, as well as that wonderful basil. And then we have, of course, olive oil to kind of bring it all together. Put that there so you can see the green color, nice and vivid. And just smells great, fresh, fragrant. I'm going to show you a quick dish that you can make with this that I love, and so doesn't my kids. And then in a future video, I'll show you some other pesto recipes. Especially in the summer when it's abundant basil and you're like growing it in your garden, you don't know what to do with all this basil. Make pesto and freeze it. And then you'll have it for maybe in those cold months when you don't have any basil and you want something quick for dinner. I'll show you a quick recipe that you can use with it. Okay, now once you have all your basil mixed up, and you're not going to use it right away, I would put a little olive oil on top of it, cover it, put it into a refrigerator. It'll last up to a week, But if you really want to save it and have a lot, you want to freeze it. But rather than freezing it in bulk, but then you have to thaw everything out, sometimes you want to put it into smaller containers. And that way there you can just pull one out, and that could work with a meal, or maybe something a little bit larger like you have a family. But another good trick is to put it into ice cube trays. Fill your ice cube trays, put this in a bag in your freezer. Once it's frozen, pop them all out. You'll have little cubes of pesto in there. And then once you need some, you just reach in, pull one out, use it frozen, throw it right in with some pasta or something, and the heat will thaw it out, and you can use it that way. Okay, so I'm going to make a video, a future episode, using pesto in numerous ways, with chicken, with shrimp, with a couple of different pasta recipes. But right now I just wanted to show you one quick one right away that I love as well as my kids, and that's making a wicked easy grilled tomato, fresh mozzarella, and pesto sandwich. Okay, so you just get some kind of bread, as it says here, a couple slices of whole wheat, multi-grain, whatever you like. White bread is fine as well. And then I'll post this recipe too. And this is about a tablespoon of mayonnaise on there. We're going to use some of the basil pesto, and I'm going to use fresh mozzarella here that comes in the liquid. Get the large one, nice and soft. But if you don't have fresh mozzarella, you could use regular mozzarella, shredded. You could even put cheddar, anything else you want on there. And then some really nice beefsteak tomatoes that are nice and ripe, okay? Again, perfect dish summertime when this is all abundant in your gardens. So to assemble that, we're gonna just take some pesto and spread it on one of the sides of the bread. Now, another thing when you're making grilled cheeses, I like to make sure you put everything out to the edge. Some people make it with the cheese and it doesn't go to the edge, so that first bite, you're just getting grilled bread. You want to have all those other flavors in there. So I've got my pesto on there, kind of thick. You can see I've got it all the way out to the edges. Okay? And then on my other one, I'm going to put some mayonnaise. And again, just about a tablespoon, but if you like more, or if your bread's extra thick and you need more, put more on there. Again, all the way out to the edge, spread it out to the edge. Don't leave any just plain bread there. Okay, and then on this side is where we're gonna stack up our tomatoes and our fresh mozzarella. So I've already washed these. Now I'm gonna slice them. Don't have to be too thin or too thick, whatever you'd like. Probably 4 or 5 slices here. I'm gonna put that on top of my, well, 2 pieces fit it. Yeah, I'll cut another one, little pieces here up near the top, another one down here at the bottom. And this one I like to then put the fresh mozzarella on top of it. So we'll move this off to the side and take that ball of fresh mozzarella, again, slice that up, or slices of provolone, mozzarella. You could probably even use cheddar, whatever you have on hand that you enjoy. But again, I'm using this fresh mozzarella, which is wonderful. And we're just going to place that on top of our tomatoes. It looks like got enough there. And then I like to put on a little bit of salt and pepper onto that. Some fresh ground black pepper. Then I've got my salt cave here. Put on some kosher salt. Now we're just going to top the pesto side on top of this side. Squish it all down. Isn't that like great? Now, we're going to have to grill it. So in the back here, I have a panini press, which is the way I really like to do it. But if you don't have that, you can just do it like in a pan, like you would a grilled cheese. Put a little butter in there, do both sides, pushing it down. Either one works great, but since I have the panini, I'm going to use that. So let me put that in for you. Now we'll wait 5 minutes or so, let that toast up, and then we're going to try it. Okay, let's get that out of the panini press. Okay, and here's the sandwich, all grilled on the top. So now we can put it here, cut this in half, nice and crunchy. And you can see in there the pesto, the mozzarella that's oozing and melted, the nice fresh garden tomatoes in there with our mayonnaise to provide some fat. So you can put that right on the sandwich, and that is done. Okay, but now the proof is in the pudding, so let's take a bite. A little corner here, make sure I get lots of cheese, tomatoes falling out of it. A fresh pesto, awesome. So try this at home. Please share it with your friends. Make fresh pesto and make dishes out of it. You'll truly enjoy it as well as your family. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do and hit the like button. Bye-bye now.